Here we go. Michael from Richard J. Sika Pest Control. Hello, everybody. Nice to speak with you today. We're going to talk about a very important topic in the lives of individuals who want to sleep well at night, literally, so that they know their bed isn't infested with a certain animal that has been named after the area they seem to terrorize for some individuals, and that is how to check for these bed bugs. And let me tell you something. It's a very big topic, especially if you act early on this and exhibit diligence in the face of opposition, because these animals, if you leave them and turn a blind eye and say that, no, I don't see them, they're not there, even though they are there, and you play the ignorance card, then they're only going to spread and become more established. Even though treating a minor infestation some would look at as inconvenient, I would look at it as prudent because it's far less costly and easier than treating the same infection 5 weeks later after it's all over your room and they're coming out of the walls. So, this is all about how do you check for these bugs in advance so you know whether or not you have a serious issue that should be addressed by a pest control expert. Now, they lower level infestations are somewhat more challenging to find and identify correctly. Other insects, whether you're talking about ones you know regularly, so that if I said it, you would know immediately what they look like and perhaps have an association of anger towards, and all the way up to your pedestrian carpet beetles, can easily be mistaken and are very often assumed to be the bed bugs that you fear you have. But perhaps you don't. Perhaps it's that you have another bug and that you misidentified what it could be. But a huge theme in the success of getting rid of these animals is to find the things early. You do not want to be the person who sees one tomorrow and then lets it go, and you're not even going to think about it because it's too much of a hassle, in your opinion, or it's not worth the time and energy to get a professional to come fix it, and then a few weeks, days, months later, you can't help but see them because they're all over the room. So, as opposed to misidentifying some bugs for what you're actually looking for, some ideas are that bites, despite popular opinion here, and we're going a little bit against convention, are not the best indicator of a bedbug infestation. Other bug bites can look like they came from your bedbug, like chiggers or mosquitoes. You might just have been in the backyard last night having a nice cold glass of lemonade listening to the radio at about 8:55 p.m. and you couldn't see 10 feet in front of you because it was so dark, but you were fine. It was okay. You were listening to something like the football game. But a mosquito came over to your left forearm and injected an enzyme, as they always do, into you when they bite down, and that created your skin swelling, which you assume and misidentify as a bedbug bite. Or you could have a rash of some kind, like a fungal infection or eczema, something to that effect. If that's the case, then obviously there's a different protocol for handling that, or even in a very rare case, and I understand this is a little bit uncommon, hives. Some people, interestingly, on the other end of the spectrum, they don't even react to bug bites at all. So, how else would you know if you got these things? Well, here are some of the legitimate indicators that can help you figure out whether or not they're in your home. First, reddish stains on the mattress. This is not only aesthetically unpleasing because, come on, you don't want these discolored mattress, sheets, or blankets, but it can also be a sign that your suspicion is true. These stains on bed sheets or mattresses can be caused by the bed bugs being crushed by the weight of whatever is on top of the bed. Now, this is just, while it is unfortunate for the bug, they were just wandering there, and because of the amount of items that were above it, they got squished. It's a good sign for you to figure out, okay, if one bug was here, let's do the mental math, there may be other bugs on the premises. Another idea that you can look for: dark spots. This is very interesting. No more than the size of the mouse you see floating on the screen before you. It doesn't have to be very big. I mean, if you see one of them and it's in a circular form, what this could be is bedbug excrement. And that may appear to the naked eye like a marker bleeding or a Sharpie mark would appear on a piece of fabric. Again, not very physically attractive, but it's a way that you can find and indicate to you you need some professional help here. And they're not, again, not very large. However, in quantity they could be. I mean, you could see these things all over the place to the point it looks like your mattress has freckles. That would be a time to make a call to your local and or trusted pest control expert. Another factor, eggs and egg shells. Another less than savory story is that the egg shells you see before you are just about ready to have hatched. And now those bugs born from the process of evolution are now somewhere within the premises. Eggs are pretty much self-explanatory in what those are going to yield, and these are about 1 millimeter long. So it's not very big here. But as far as coloring, what you might want to take note of is that if you see any pale yellow skins, then that is a sign of nymphs. Now, to give you some background here, a nymph is just a developing bedbug. We all go through, as living organisms, the evolutionary process of growth. And in the very beginning stages of a bedbug lifestyle, they start as a nymph, and then they grow as they shed various levels of skin. Once shedded, that layer becomes pale yellow. So if you have that color indicator anywhere around your house, then you know you've got little younglings of bedbugs running around. And also, obviously, deductively, if you have kids, there's got to be parents, which are obviously much larger. And if they're reproducing at this time, when you first discover this, they're only going to continue to. These things like to have big families. Again, another recommendation that you get this properly examined. As well, so these are not all inclusive, nor are they exclusive to each other. You can see reddish stains and the dark spots, or simply the eggs and eggshells. You don't have to have all of them, but you only need to see one of them for the potential of danger to be there. And obviously, I think you all understand this, especially if this has happened to you. If you see the thing, it's obviously there. Live bed bugs are key indicators, especially if they're going out during the day. Most of them are dormant, meaning they go out at night. But if you see these things trudging along at about 3 p.m. in the afternoon in pure daylight, well, you should also take note of a few things. The farthest, the range of movement that these animals will go to get to their host is between 5 and 20 feet. And it would only do this during the day if it was absolutely starved. So it didn't have an opportunity to connect with the host the night before. So it'll go out in that same length during the day to get to its food source and provide nutrients for its body. Now, how long will it stay with that nutrient host food source? About 3 to 12 minutes. It doesn't take that long. In fact, it's less than a quarter of an hour for a bed bug to get all of its nutritional needs from whatever food source it's taking this from. So whether it be your dog, your cat, related pet not mentioned, or yourself, if you're the primary donor to this thing's life, it'll be with you between 3 and 12 minutes. And then it will return to its safety zone that it's established. And now what could be some safety zones that are often called harborages for your reference. And again, if you see that these things are active during the day, well, you can assume a fair amount of ambition to this animal because it's really putting its life on the line to get to some food source. But then again, if we were all starved, wouldn't we all? And some safety zones that you might want to check to see if you don't have a few dozen bugs running around in it. The seams of chairs and couches is a very nice little tucked in place for them to go. Think of the nondescript, unspotlighted corners of your house. They really like to go in small places no one looks for. Between cushions, let me tell you something. Do they ever love that? The folds of your curtains. Is it possible that when you open your window every morning, you are shifting the home of these bed bugs and that they're just on the other side of the flap? Potentially, if you have a serious issue. Drawer joints. Again, places that most people wouldn't even think to look. Electrical appliances that you could have, in layman's terms, that are just lying around. And if you're one of those home remodelers, Mr. or Mrs. Renovation, let me tell you something. If you leave loose wallpaper around and you start a project, you're 80% done, room looks great, but then something distracts you, it takes you off focus, you go off the beaten path. If you leave that wallpaper lying around, you are leaving prime real estate for these things to colonize in and create a little home for themselves. Wall hangings at the junction where the wall and the ceiling meet. Isn't that wild? Again, the corners are a big theme here. And these things are so small, they can go into the head of a screw if you have really a serious issue. Because then, by that time, they're brave, they're ready, they're not hiding, which means they have strength in what? Numbers. They have strength in numbers. So again, really small hiding spots for these things. And that's some background on the behavioral tendencies of these animals that are not afraid to go after you or any related mammal and bird in the house or around it. So, that all said, you have some warning signs to look for in your home as pertaining to whether or not you have these animals. And if you want to get rid of your bed bugs, feel free to call us at 914, as you can see right there, 667-5610. We'll be glad to help you. We've been helping people get rid of their unwanted critters and debug their home life and businesses for as we are a generational business. We've been helping people do this for decades. We'd be glad to serve you. And again, your free consult to get your bed bug situation resolved is only a call away. Thanks so much for taking the time to watch. And until we see you again in the next video, we wish you a bug-free life.